Well, greetings and welcome to yet another episode on CK Sports, our YouTube channel where we talk about everything Ugandan football, everything African football, and everything global football. If you're watching us for the first time and you are yet to subscribe, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button. It will take you less than a second. But also a big thank you to all of you who always comment on our content, who always like our content, who always share our content. My name is Clive Chaze, and we are coming to you, I always love to say, from the heart of Kampala. And today's episode is a special in so many ways because we are hosting somebody who has done something remarkable. Probably by now you do have a clue. Not so many national teams in Uganda have played at a global stage like the World Cup. I'll talk about the baby cricket cranes who have been at 3 under 19 ICC World Cups. I'll talk about the national ladies rugby team, the Sevens. They have been at the World Cup. I'll talk about the She Cranes, the netball team, have also been at the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken, 4 times, and a couple of other teams that have been at the World Cup. Of course, athletes like Joshua Cheptegei is a 3-time world champion, and a couple of other people who have been in there, not forgetting Dorcas in Zukuru. So our guest today is in that class of elites. Much as he's not a footballer, but he's a man who masterminded the latest national team, that is the under-17 national team, the Cubs, who qualified for their first ever World Cup that will be hosted by Qatar from the 5th of November to the 21st of November 2025. 48 nations, 10 from the African continent, and Uganda is one of those 10 from the African continent who will be going to the World Cup. And ladies and gentlemen, that is none other than Mr. Brian Ssenyondo. Do you have a third name? Or is just Brian Ssenyondo?
I have a third name, but it's a Muslim name because I was a Muslim.
Which one is that?
But I don't use it because I changed religion. I'm a born-again Christian, but initially I was a Muslim.
So it is free to say, praise the Lord, sir.
Amen.
And first of all, I don't know where to start from because there are so many questions lingering in my mind. But the big question should be, have you already recovered from the milestone, or you still sit there and you're like, what did we just achieve?
No, I am. I'm recovered because, you see, the world doesn't appreciate people who make success, who are successful. So when you get stuck into the success mode, you tend to give a lot of people chance. So for me, I celebrate once I have achieved success, but after that, I think about what is next because it's very key. Because people are waiting for you to see now you have achieved this. Are you still going up? They want you. They don't want you to go up, but they are like, are you still going up or you are failing? And what is on their hearts and lips is that, when is he failing? And that's the nature of us people, me inclusive. So I mastered that, and I knew that I know as a person that if I win today, of course it's good to celebrate, but that's done.
Well, Brian, let's start from here. You've been saying that in different platforms that the first time you walked into that dressing room when you interacted with the players, I think you guys were preparing for the regional qualifiers. You told them that we must go to the World Cup. And of course, we are playing a tournament where the end goal was you can either be African champion, but you can still qualify for the World Cup. Where did you get that confidence that actually this is achievable?
First, when I was growing up as a coach, when I started my coaching career, the people that I've been with for a long time know this. I've already told them that I will take Uganda to the World Cup. Now, I didn't specify whether I will take the under-17s or the whatever, but I said, anytime I'm given a chance and I'm the head coach of a national team, I'll take to the World Cup. I have dreamt of this as a young man who was growing as a coach. So to me, it's a dream come true because I have had it for a long time. But being given the opportunity to head the national team, under 17s, the Cubs, gave me that opportunity also to try and fight hard to see that I make this dream come true. But again, on the other side is I'm a person who wants to give myself a challenge. I want to set bigger and higher targets because I know English say that you set high to achieve which is attainable. So
You
sometimes,
aim for the moon, then you'll shoot one of the stars.
so that's what I go orange for because we are in this business not to joke around, to be the great people we can be because about life is all about what you can do in life in a certain area. Like you are a journalist, Clive, I believe you want to be among the best in the
Yeah,
world.
true.
That's why you are so innovative in everything you are doing. Other than you would just come out with your degree from the journalism school or the university, sit on TV already, and that's done. But you try to every time and then to innovate this and the other to see that you complement yourself to be a better journalist from the rest. And that's what I want to be as a young man, as a young coach. That we are all coaches, we are all football managers, but you must always try to do different things such that, yes, when they call coaches, you are all coaches, but you are somehow graded differently.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's why I push the boys. To answer your question directly, that's why I push the boys because I made sure I have been in football management for quite some time. So
Despite your age.
so I know the psychology of players. What you feed these boys is what they offer. Sometimes it fails, but most times you achieve. So the first time I entered the camp and they introduced me as the coach, because most of them maybe they used to know me from where I was working, but I had not worked with them, and others didn't know me. You know, the most funny thing, we think that you are in news or you on every television that everyone knows you. You find a footballer who doesn't know you, yet he plays football. So when they introduced me the manager, that this would be the head coach, before I said my names, I said this this edition of under 17, our mission is World Cup. And these were my words, that I'm here to do everything tactically and technically and humanly possible to see that we achieve this dream. And I said, I can guarantee you that we shall go to the World Cup.
We'll get to that stage. I'm lucky that I was one of the few people who got to know that the World Cup had been expanded at 48 teams and Africa will have 2 slots. That was during a one-day workshop I attended in Ivory Coast. It was organized by FIFA when they were taking us through the different projects that they have for youth football and all that. And I remember immediately thereafter, I got a chance. I tried to find out what will it take for a country like Uganda to be at the World Cup. I looked through the qualifiers and all that. You play the regional qualifiers, you go for the AFCON under 17 finals, which at the time had 11 or 12 teams. And in my mind, I'm like, surely, if you have 12 teams and 10 are going to the World Cup, there's no way we can't be part of the 10 that are going to the World Cup. But of course, eventually, the tournament is later expanded to 16 nations. That is how even from this region, Sekafa, Somalia also now go to qualify for the AFCON finals. And there to go a little bit tricky, where only the top 8 qualify automatically. Those who finish third have to go through a playoff. But when the permutations are kept on changing, did that in any way put you guys under any kind of pressure?
No, and for me, I was not looking at the number of the teams. Whether it would be 3 or 4
The
or
target
2.
was World Cup.
Yeah, the target was World Cup. Because I want to tell you that a very good team in Cameroon didn't
Qualify
qualify
for the
from
World
the
Cup.
group stages. So they are not in the World Cup. I'm talking about a team that we played a friendly game with. I know how good
And
they
they
are.
beat us 4-3, 3-2.
4-3, and I appreciated their team because they are extremely good team. But you can't imagine, they didn't have a very tough group because I think they had themselves Tunisia.
Was it South Africa? Was
No,
it?
South Africa wasn't there. I think there were Tunisia, Cameroon. Is it
And Egypt. It was Egypt, not Tunisia.
Egypt and each other team.
And Burkina Faso.
And Burkina Faso.
Yes.
You get? But the team did not go out of the group.
And Egypt had to go through a playoff.
We are talking about Egypt, who is ranked. Leave alone that they are a junior side, but those in North African countries, their junior sides are as good as
the national team.
So for me, it wasn't about the number of the teams that are being taken to the World Cup. Actually, at first, I never knew even that they take 10. But for me, what I knew is that, because initially I knew they would take 4 or 8 from those who reach the quarterfinals.
In the past, it used to be 4.
So that's what I had in mind. Not until we started camp and I was taken through how the tournament pans out. But that didn't change me. Actually, what changed me a lot, and I said, I have been very confident. I have spoken a lot of words. When we got issues at the end with the MRI.
When some players were disqualified because of the MRI.
Because we do our MRI before the official one. FIFA does that, facilitates that. So we do several those MRIs. Like we do when we are here in Uganda, after 2 weeks, we do MRIs. Because I have found out that a person grows every minute, every day. But every time we would have the team. So after 2 weeks, because we spent 1.5 months in the camp. So after 2 weeks, everyone was okay. Not until the one we did like today when we are flying out tomorrow.
The last one.
Not that they were out, but they had a minimal chance. And when we sought advice from the CAF doctor, say this is a risk. So if you take these ones, I'm not saying they will, but it is a risk. And
because according to the tournament regulations, once you have 4 people who fail the test, you're disqualified.
Out. And we had like 6. And very key players. And coming from the history I've had as a nation, that one time we were disqualified because of playing with the
players.
So you couldn't risk even when you had that little chance. But it's not that it was obvious that they are out. It was only that they have what they call the bar. So they were.
You didn't want to take the gamble.
And we thought that now we are going before the final MRI, that would be like 1.5 weeks when we are in Morocco, because we had a pre-camp there. So we thought they might have bridged that gap, maybe. So we thought what is best for us is to just leave the boys, go with the team. It was very hard, by the way. Then you're talking about starters.
Yeah, people have been part of the process.
Not only starters, key players in the team, and then you have to think and say, but you still believe yourself and say the target can still be attainable, because this is what we have. This is what we have always dreamt of since day one.
As a technical team, how did that affect you guys when now you realize that you're not going to have these players to be part of the squad that you're traveling with, yet they are the players that you thought were the backbone of the team?
It actually affected us psychologically, because the team we had, by the way, Clive, to tell you, we would compete. I don't want to say this because we have qualified for the World Cup, but we would play until the finals. We had a good team. And but the 6 key players hit us psychologically. But I want to thank my technical team. They are very robust guys. They think quickly. We couldn't recruit there because we had already submitted the names to CAF. Everything was already set. Because you send the names before, accreditations are done before.
You submit a provisional squad, then from that, you submit the final squad.
So we had already even done whatever we had to do as per CAF regulations. So we had to just go with the team we had. And not actually, if someone hears that we qualified for the World Cup, with due respect to my players, they may think, we had a strong team. But actually, in Uganda, they say wajikubye biraka. It's just because you could play, like you see our fullback 3 typical midfielder,
Playing at left back.
very young, is right-footed.
And
This
somebody
is
wouldn't
his
understand why you're playing a midfielder in left back.
is just if it was not for FIFA Cup, because those kind of players were not always given a chance in the UEFA games because they are young or they are termed not very good. So the FIFA Cup gives chance to only those who don't get a chance there
To play in the other sports competition.
So that's where we got him from. Because for us, we look at potential.
Mm.
We saw that he had potential. So he said he can be with us in the camp. Maybe if he doesn't make the final squad, he can make it in the other editions that will be coming. But when we got issues, he got an opportunity, and we went with him. But he wasn't He wasn't the first. He wasn't even among the first choice, the second choice. He was just a training player with the camp. We summoned him to build him because we saw potential in him. But look at the job he did. Apart from the first 30 minutes of Morocco, that everyone looked bad, inclusive, me inclusive.
Actually, that was going to be my next question. I wanted to jump the two friendly games we played against Burkina Faso and Cameroon. What happened on that night against Morocco?
See, what I've learned in football, and it's very good to play or to coach at bigger stages. You learn a lot of things. When I had to take you back, when I went to the continent with Qatar, I don't usually.
By the way, this year we are talking about when you went on the continent.
It gave me some experience that I really that I can appreciate. I'm not a coach who always goes out when my team is warming up. I stay inside. I just try to divert my mind, not on the game, because the pressure before the game is always much. You think. So I try to go on TikTok, social media, those things that can make me relax until when the kickoff starts. So, but when we went with the Qatar at the continent, playing Benghazi, I was tempted to go and see the warm-up. Not necessarily my warm-up, because I know what they do.
Their warm-up.
Their warm-up. So I looked at their warm-up and how they warm up. And it was very specific.
And you compared with what we do.
Yes, and this is what I learned in the CAF A. I didn't. Of course, CAF B, you learn things, but they don't give you everything. But I learned a lot in CAF A. So, but by the time I went to the continent, I was still in my classes of A class, of A license. So I called my assistants when we were there and I said, look at how those people
are warming up.
That's how exactly they are going to play. And when we came into the game, that's how exactly they played. Even shooting, that's how exactly
they were warming up with the ball, perfecting game
everything. So I went, we were playing, when we played the Cameroon and Burkina Faso in pre-camp, yes, we lost, but we were better. There were stronger teams, they were very stronger than us. But I think we have an identity, which is with due respect to other, like Burkina Faso and Cameroon, I think they pray to win. And at this stage, that matters.
True.
So, but for us in those friendlies, we said we don't have pressure, we should stick to our plan. So I brought that same mentality into the Morocco game. I went out to watch how Morocco warm up. They warmed up exactly how they played. I called the coaches and the team manager. I said, look at how those people, that's how they are going to play. And I tell you, consider the from how they were playing.
Warming up, yes.
But I didn't adjust as a coach. I just stuck to plan. Even when I saw what they were doing on top of the analysis we had already done as a team. But you see, sometimes when you lose, it is bad to lose. We don't want to lose. But sometimes you have to lose as a coach. If you're a student of the game, you learn a lot.
But do you think there are some circumstances, probably even before the warm-up, maybe the previous day or during the day, that you feel maybe might have contributed to the way the team struggled before they eventually settled in the second half?
I think I would say food. But I don't want to give that as a great excuse. I think the tactics. And I went back when the game at half time, in fact. And I told the boys we are going to change how we had planned out to play. and I'm very sorry. I think the tactics I've done were not right. And I said, let us go back in the second half and play like this. So I appreciated that my tactics did not work. And even after the game, I stood before the whole team and I said, I'm sorry about the tactics. I think if it wasn't for my tactics, we wouldn't have won.
What were the tactics that you probably felt let you down?
I think we gave Morocco too much respect from how we had analyzed them. Yet for them, they analyzed us, I think, from the friendlies we played because they were video recorded. So I think they shared with them and they saw that we use a right-footed in the left, whatever. And
their attention to detail is very high.
Top notch. They have like 20, 30 coaches at their junior side. Everyone has something he's doing. So I think every coach has a player is monitoring. So I realized that's why when you see second half, they had nothing in the game. Once we came back and played our usual real game. But tactically, I thought we could sit back, welcome them, hit them on attack, on counter attack. Kumbe, it is going to kill us. It really would have swallowed if we stuck with those tactics. I think we would have swallowed like 15 goals. But good enough, we are coaches who learn very quickly and adjust accordingly. That's what we did, and I can only thank God for that game.
Because after the way we performed against Morocco, and you're dealing with young kids, 16, 15, 14-year-olds, how do you then lift their spirits up going into the game against Tanzania? Because the performance was much better, and eventually they were able to pick their first win of the competition.
Like I said, these are young players, but they're a bit mature. They understand. If you like a coach, I come before you and I say, I think we have lost this game because of my tactics. They already know that if it wasn't for tactics, they would have matched. Because they did it if the moment we let them play to play our usual game and expose themselves, they did it in second half. So they also know that we have considered this kind of goals. But if the coach didn't tell us to play like this way, so if you just sit back because you're a coach and you don't want to accept that maybe the same way I blame a player when he has done a mistake. It's the same way I blame myself. And I admit it. And I have to admit it before everyone of the team. I think that is strength. For me, I've learned over time. And these players, I saw that with that, it gave them confidence. And when I was doing my one-on-ones, talking to them, they would tell you openly and say, tactics beat us. So if I had not even come out to say it before, you see, and you see when I said, okay, the next game we shall play our usual game. We played brilliantly. Zambia played our usual game. We played brilliantly, better team, though we did not win. From then, I analyzed the opponent, but I never went away from our strength. I just knew that the opponent's strength is like this. Apply tactics that can try to solve that, but not change the way we play.
Well, the game against Zambia, disappointed that probably you weren't able to pick the win, because the win or draw, actually a win, would then give you automatic qualification to the World Cup.
Now that game, other than the game against Morocco, when I came and I said, I'm sorry, I think the tactics, this game I was furious. I kicked everything, I banged tables, because I thought we could win this game, like by the 10th minute we would be 4 up. Clear cut chances. And whatever we are doing in the last training, per finishing, presented itself in the very first 15 minutes of the game. The chances we missed are the very things that I was quarreling about during the training session. And I was telling a player, you should take the shot like this. So I was very furious after the first half, after full time. Didn't want to talk to any player, and I told them, I don't want you to greet me from today until when we are in the World Cup. Find me, just bypass me. Don't greet me, don't say nothing. Just, we are like enemies for that week.
Was it that
Yes,
too much?
I think it was needed. And they know, these players, I tell you, they know that when they have not done, before you tell them, they already know. And sometimes, let me tell you, I know when to be hard and when not. But at that particular time, you had only one chance left. And if you don't
do or die.
Yeah, if you don't change yourself and become something else, sometimes it touches their psychology for a best. And I tell you, it worked. It worked. You saw, it's the first game we have considered the first and came back.
As early as 20 seconds?
Because we considered that goal, but I never thought we could lose this game.
Talk about that game in the pre-match comments that you shared with the media. James Bwogere was a doubt. And I've talked to some people who say, indeed, he wasn't meant to play that game. But he showed up and he scored 2 brilliant goals. What had exactly happened, and why take the gamble?
We were in training, I think 3 days to the game. 3, 4. I think 4 days to the game. So we were finishing, defenders, strikers, so they hit him. And he got injured, he got out. He was limping for all those days. So I called the doctor. Second last training. And I talked to the doctors and said he cannot play. I said he will play. You'll have to do everything to see that he plays. The doctor was furious because this is his job. He has to do the right thing. I said, my friend, in fact, that meeting did not end because I left it prematurely. I didn't want to hear about anything.
And I'm sure the player also wants to play.
Usually they also want to play. When we went back to the camp, because we were at the training pitch, so when we went back to the camp, I called the player. I said, how do you feel? He said, I cannot even walk. I said, Bwogere, you will play this game. I said, coach, I will play. But I would see he was in pain. So the last training, we finished last training, I saw the doctors and the manager at the side when we were training. He did not train for 4 days. They are seated talking to him. I didn't want them to talk to him because I thought he would convince them, or he would say I am not able. Because he's been a very key player for us. So after training, I said, what has the player said? I've seen you at the side with the player. Says he can play. He will play. So when we went back to the camp after lunch, I made sure I called him with another player, Hamza. They come from the same club, academy. So I tried to play with their psychology. I brought stories. I told them, now you see, Alex Sanchez said he had like 30 different injuries. He used to play with them, but people couldn't notice. So I saw when this guy is edified from the talk we had, that boy could not play. Either you saw once he scored, he was limping. He didn't want to show the opponents because the opponents read that he's injured. I think from 1 minute they started eating that very
injured food or something.
So, but when he scored the 2, when he scored the 2 goals, it became worse because he was using the same foot to score. To play, so it was too painful. It's a joint. So he was limping, and the coach said, one of my coaches, Masawa, said, how should we put him out? I said, he's going to complete in 90 minutes.
Because he's a threat now.
Yes, I see he was in pain, but you see, it is sweet pain. Because you are sacrificing for something you have dreamt of for a long time. These boys want to play at bigger stages. And I want to be very happy and also appreciate that young boy because he sacrificed. He was not okay at all. I think if it's not strong mentality of us coaches and the player, we wouldn't play him. Because any doctor would not play him, but he played.
Brian, as we wind up, there was always the talk, and the talk has also been around for several coaches who have quality players, but you don't give them the freedom to express themselves. And those were some of the comments that would come through from the people who were following the national team. Your take?
Now, like which players?
That's why I'm asking for your take.
You see, I don't know how people see
Or we are
football.
just being very expectant from a team
No,
that is still in its development
no, I think
stages.
from what people saw in Sekafa,
Mm.
they expected maybe more or of the same. But like I said, we lost eight key
Players.
players that were not totally out, but we didn't want to risk. You get? The other thing is, if anyone knows Brian Ssenyondo, now you have not just seen me from the just concluded the tournament we have had of Africa, you know that I'm a coach who believes in a player to do everything he has to do. You have watched Frank Azaga play football,
Yes.
for example. You might admit that, of course, people have seen him play, but I mean the Premier League, where everyone said, now this is the Zaga we know. It's because I was his coach. I let him play. I didn't restrict him. I didn't, and several other players. This is me. But like I said, the first game, I said maybe tactics because I never gave players freedom to express themselves. And I saw that because I over-respected, and I should have respected Morocco as a coach. They had, I think, like 15 players from abroad.
Man.
Bigger clubs. You get what I'm saying? So we needed to respect them. And I learned from that. And maybe some people take their comments from that game, which is not bad, which I can appreciate if it's coming from that very game. But from that game, we changed a
So
lot.
what you learned from Morocco, here we are, November, whichever date it is, the draws are out. You have Brazil, you have Spain, and probably Portugal in the same group. How will you conduct yourself at the World Cup?
No. What I have learned, like I said, I have learned, we are going to stick to what we believe
Our
in
game
and
plan.
play our way, just to be tactically disciplined. That's all. I have seen that you don't need to change much to play better. You only need to stick to your plan, but have tactical discipline. If you have that, then the rest can work out itself. I want to tell you, we shall have a very good team because our players will be every player that we didn't take last time will be back because at least for FIFA World Cup.
And of course, because it's the World Cup, several Ugandans out there who are playing in different academies and all that would want to
of
be
course,
considered.
to get a chance, we are going to give as many boys, like we have always done, a chance to come, and we be with them in the camp. Sometimes we summon, most times, not even sometimes, we summon an initial squad. But if people tell us that there is a player that we don't know somewhere, even if he's in a Germany or elsewhere, we bring that player.
I was happy. I was reading the clubs of these players, and we had a player from Ford Patrol, tax operators, something like that.
And that player was called by someone. He called me. He's a games teacher. He knew me from Masaka. He said, "There's a player." I had never seen a player.
You invited him to come.
I said, "Let him come." Came to come. He's been one of our best players in the tournament.
Well, Brian, of course, World Cup, we've qualified. What do you owe this success to? Some of the things that you feel that probably played a great role in France to qualify for the World Cup?
First of all, the facilitation. First of all, the opportunity for these boys to play. Because the federation can say, we are not going to play. And you do nothing about it. You look at when the FIFA president had just come into the office, he said, I'm pulling out the women national
at
team.
that time, yeah.
He didn't consider that at that particular time that he needed this. So he might have said, remember, for us going to this AFRICON, even when we had qualified, we could not even go. We could say we should not go because the women had lost. We had just been beaten by Guinea, I think. So a lot of things. Remember when the national teams are playing at the same time, lots of money is being spent. So the federation is also considerate, which is more important than the other. But the federation said we shall do everything to see that you are there. So that's a plus. Before we think about anything, the support from the federation, I want to thank them using your TV, that it is much appreciated. The welfare. Facilitation is another thing because I can facilitate you eat anyhow you want to eat, sleep anyhow you want to eat. But the welfare, the way we eat in camp, 7 meals a day.
Mm.
Really? When some of us at my home, I only eat 2 or 3. You get?
Other
Every
people
time,
want.
every after an hour, every after 2 hours, player is eating something. It's called that nutrition. You get? It is very key. I want to thank the federation for that, but also the pre-camp.
Mm.
It helped us a lot to adjust to the environment and the weather of
Traveling
Morocco.
early.
If we had gone on the official date, we would struggle. But we had it there. We reached a stage when I'm also used to the food, to everything. So that played a part. But after saying all that, the togetherness, the synergies of the team, I think the technical team, we are one. I'm the head coach, but you can hardly know if I am. We work as a team. The players and ourselves, if you met us when it's not serious time for business, you might not know whether I'm a coach or a player. We were there and people would ask me, you play which number? Those people we phone there. And I say, I'm a coach. And they would wonder because we would mingle and, with the players. That family life thing, I think it helped us a lot. Even when we were criticizing each other, I'm criticizing the players, we will do it with love. Even when they are criticizing me, you will see that everyone is.
You allowed the players to criticize you guys?
Of course. You speak and the player will speak and say, no,
because
this
it's
is
also part of growth.
Yeah, because we learn a lot from players and they learn from us. So for me, I like players who speak. If you don't want to speak, I have to force you to speak something.
Who was the most vocal?
What surprised me, a player I thought that would never speak is called Chakua. I looked at this player, when he's around, you don't know that whether he can speak. But man, when we gave him a chance, in fact, we didn't give him a chance. We said, player centered. And no one was standing up. At first, they first fear.
At first, everyone doesn't
He stood up. He blew the whole room. I said, yeah. Because he spoke points to us, to me, to fellow players. Then when the FIFA president came in, because he came before we played Morocco, we had these usual chats and motivation from him. But after the game of Morocco, we had to have meetings. But him himself also, he lowered himself from the position of the president to just being a team player. Because he said this meeting is first called only the technical. Now, when they told me the FIFA president is calling, I said, no, what is this man? They have warmed us 5. He should wait for us to finish the tournament and sack us
at once.
Now he's going to call us to tell us what. So he called, we come in the room. I came late, like 4 minutes. And I made sure I come late. When the first impression is not good, you don't just attack it. So I thought, let others sit first. I come like 5 minutes late. And he was already fuming. Now, where is the coach? But then I came in. I made sure I came in after 5 minutes. Now, when I started, he said, Banai, we are here. Even if I'm the problem, tell me. This is a free meal. So everyone, he threw at us, we threw at him. Open meeting. He adjusted where he had to adjust. Adjusted where we won. So we thought, now we have won. This is very good. 1 a.m. in the night. 1 a.m., 2 a.m. there. Wee hours of the night we are asleep. The man is calling us. Technical, we have to pave a way. We talk through. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes, I don't know how people see that man, but he's so passionate about winning and seeing the teams doing better. So, that meeting also was very good. It was tough, but it was good. But what I want to show you from that meeting, that from within, from the technical and the players, up to when the president was there, it was never that this is the president. If the president had any issue, even the president, when he had a meeting by himself, because I asked him, he wanted to meet us with the players, but I said, no, meet them alone. It was the same thing. I told these young boys to open up.
And Chakua
opened up. He's always vocal, and I appreciate him of that. I never expected that of him, and I really saw leadership skills from him.
Yes, as Winder Brand, we are playing at the World Cup, but of course, times have changed. Now it is a tournament of 48 nations, but also FIFA decided that the World Cup, the Under-17 World Cup, is going to be played annually. Meaning if you have a 15, 14-year-olds, they have an opportunity to play at more than 2 or 3 World Cups. First of all, the decision by FIFA to expand this competition, but also have it annual.
Because I think FIFA has realized one, that every year these boys grow. Now, a boy who has been, let me say, 16 now, if you don't have the competition next year, it would be already out of it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And you have lost a lot of talent.
Yet the
in between
transition
there.
from under 17 to under 20 also takes a bit of time.
You get? So giving it every year, this means we are giving opportunity to every child all over the world to have a chance to play, which has not been there in the recent, and we appreciate FIFA for that. But also to make it 48 countries, if they have done it with the senior size, why not here? I think that's the brain behind that.
Okay, the very last one. It's a question that I love asking people that I've been interviewing of late. In your own perspective, what is the role of media in developing sport or football in particular?
Why would you ask me?
I ask this question every person I interview.
Of course, media is well appreciated because FIFA has media personnel. FIFA has media personnel. CAF has media personnel. Even the tournaments we organize at the village levels have media personnel. That means they are very important.
Okay, your closing remarks.
I want to thank you, Clive. You are one of the few, if they're like two, journalists since I started this journey that you've been there for me in particular, but for Uganda under 17s in general. You have not only done your job like as a journalist, but maybe you went beyond as a Ugandan fan. I want to appreciate you of that, because sometimes we don't appreciate you. People don't know, but for me I know that there is no single day you have not been in my inbox when I'm in Morocco. And you are not asking me for news because you have the media attaché. You have been coordinating with Joe. You have never asked me for any news in the camp. Rather, you would feedback me over anything.
And threatening you.
Yeah, but you have supported me. I don't think you have threatened
Okay, they
me.
were threats in a good way.
But you played a huge role. When we were hammered 5, I saw a lot on media. Then when you hit my inbox, I thought you would be among them, but your perspective was different. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you so much. I'm not saying that when I fall somewhere, you don't, that positive criticism I like. But where we need encouragement, where we need an uplift than just criticism, I think you did that very well. And I want to appreciate you here, and I want to thank you. That I want to tell you that it helped me, really. There is a simple talk we had after that game of Morocco, and you don't know what it did to me. It was simple, but it edified me because you showed me that everything is possible. You see, sometimes people don't know that we are there, but we also need courage from people. You get what I'm saying? Much as we encourage these young boys, but if you get like, I was so down as a coach, but I knew we would do it. But I needed someone maybe to talk to me. And you were among those people, and I want to appreciate you for that. And you have a special place on my heart.
Hey.
Yes.
It's your modest man. What this man has not told you that indeed I tried to threaten him in a way because I told him I had an opportunity to go and cover the under-17s in Morocco, which I declined because I wanted to cover the under-17s at the World Cup. And truth of the matter is, I put Brian under a lot of pressure because I badly wanted Uganda to qualify for the World Cup. And now that they have qualified for the World Cup, personally, I'm excited. I can't wait. I would love to be in Qatar, inshallah, when the Cubs are playing at the World Cup. That's all the time we had for you today on CK Sports, our YouTube channel. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we have many more of them. You can visit our channel. But also remember to hit the subscribe button.
I can pledge before the camera how make a contribution towards that dream of yours to come and cover
I mean,
I'm not very rich, but I'll contribute something.
chili record, chili record, chili record. That's all the time we had for you today on the show. Catch us again in the next episode.